On this Friday's edition of Nosebleed Radio, we kick off the show by talking about some MLB playoff races. We're really tightening up, starting to get into playoff baseball as we roll into October. Then we talk about college football, have some great matchups this week. We move to NFL football, and we talk about our fantasy football league after that. Then we round out the show with our wild moves. Without further ado, let's roll the music.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Welcome to Nosebleed Radio, presented by Paisan's Pizzeria in Omaha. Here's your host, Tucker Franklin.
What is up? Episode 31 of Nosebleed Radio, and I'm here with the boys, KB, Kieran Brennan.
How's it going?
Toby Tad.
What's up?
And Shane Miller.
Hey, how's it going, Roll Hawks?
Famous 31s. I'll go ahead and kick it off with my number 31. One of my favorite Chiefs players of all time, Priest Holmes. I think he's like the first running back that I can really remember from following sports.
He's the first Chiefs running back I remember.
Yeah, and the Chiefs have had a good string of running backs. I know we've talked about this on previous shows, how they went from like Priest Holmes to Larry Johnson to Jamal Charles to Kareem Hunt now, and he's one of those guys that I think is very underrated as a running back himself. So Priest Holmes wore the number 31 for the Kansas City Chiefs. Big fan of his.
We actually have a poster hanging up at our house right now with Priest Holmes' single season touchdown record, which he set at the time, and I believe LaDainian Tomlinson broke it later.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
LaDainian Tomlinson's a beast, though.
Right. But at the time, Priest Holmes did have the most touchdowns in a single season in NFL history.
It's impressive. KB, you got a 31?
Yeah, my 31 is, it's kind of like, I respected him, and I respect him even more now, but I didn't like him at the time. It's Greg Maddux. He played for the Cubs, and the Cubs suck. I hate them, a lot. He played for the Braves. Not a big Braves fan. Played for the Dodgers. I hate the Dodgers. And the Padres. I don't really have any strong feelings towards the Padres, but he's one of the best pitchers of all time. 23-year career, 4 Cy Young Awards. Oh, man, he had a sub-2 ERA. Oh, he's just super good. Just unreal how good he was. I read that stat. I like that stat on Tuesday. Just unreal the talent
we had
that this guy had.
How many 300 total batters go 3-0, and they were all intentional walks or something.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it real fast. But
it might have been less than that.
He faced over. Yeah. He faced over 2. Let me find the stat real fast.
This is bad radio.
It's
all right.
Oh my goodness.
Greg Maddux, he's one of those pitchers too, because he was at the very end of the end of his career was the beginning of me starting to like baseball. Another one of those guys that was one of the first pitchers I can remember watching.
Yeah,
I think that makes you appreciate them more, and it takes you back almost the nostalgia factor.
Right.
You were just a kid, and you're just starting to really like sports, and you remember them. You're they were superheroes to you.
Definitely. And you're thinking about how good Greg Maddux was. Greg Maddux, there was a rotation that was Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, yes. John Smoltz. So 3 insanely good pitchers.
I remember that.
But the stat was Greg Maddux faced 20,421 batters during his career, and only 310 saw a 3-0 count. 177 of those were intentional walks. So
That's
over
unreal.
half of the people that saw 3-0 counts, he did that on purpose. And it's not even saying how many of those 3-0 counts were walks, how many he could have fought back on.
Right.
Maybe 100 of those.
Yeah. Shane, who's your 31?
My 31, it plays for the Dallas Cowboys, Byron Jones, number 1 overall pick for us. In 2015, he's been doing really well. He started all 16 games for us the last 2 years. He's got a ton of tackles. I think total, he's got 236 combo tackles, 177 solo, 594 assisted tackles over his NFL career for 3 years now. So he's kind of all over the field with that. Not a whole lot of interceptions. He only got 2 interceptions. So we need to get that up, Byron, if you're listening. Work on that. But still, definitely one of our best players on defense right now, which does not say a whole lot, but Still, something.
Tells us you're 31.
I actually have two number 31s. One being the Indiana Pacer great Reggie Miller. I got to meet him at the Sprint Center. He was covering the Elite Eight games in Kansas City 2 years ago. And he's just a real genuine guy. I like him a lot. There's a great documentary about him and Tucker's new favorite team, the New York Knicks, and sort of the rivalry there. One of the great trash talkers in NBA history, one of the great three-point shooters in NBA history, and another one of the all-time greats, a pitcher who we're watching right now, Max Scherzer, for the Washington Nationals, had 300 strikeouts this season. Yep, from Mizzou.
Mizzou made.
Mizzou made.
Yep.
Yeah, such a stud. 2 different colored eyes.
That's pretty neat.
That is neat. Who is the singer? David Bowie.
Yeah.
Had the
Do you have 2 different colored eyes?
Did David Bowie?
Yeah.
Some famous musician I know had it.
I don't know, but I had a friend in high school who had 2 different colored eyes.
I
Was he a
used to know
stud
this
pitcher?
dog that had 2 different colored eyes. It was pretty sweet.
Dogs with blue eyes are dope. Blue-eyed dogs are dope.
Yeah, they're really cool.
Anyway, back to sports.
Well, that's who I got.
Oh, okay.
Reggie and Schurz.
Max Scherzer is actually a really good pitcher. Probably the best player to come out from Missouri baseball. Ian Kinsler's up there too. Ian Kinsler's. I remember when the Royals were going on that run. It would have been like 2014, I think, that they were looking for a second baseman. They just traded Johnny Giavotella. Didn't really fit with our system, and he didn't really fit in any system, I guess. I heard that he was a bad locker room guy. And he wasn't a bad baseball player, just a bad locker room guy. And the Royals just didn't want him up, and so they tried to find answers to that. And I really wanted the Royals to go after Ian Kinsler because I thought one of my favorite players of all time, even when he was in Texas and he played with those Josh Hamilton teams. Those teams were good, and I wanted Ian Kinsler from Mizzou, and and we ended up getting Omar Infante. So pretty much the same.
Who was a stud. My favorite Mizzou player was, I don't think he went anywhere, but you might know his name. His name was Jacob Priday.
Yep.
And he hit 3 home runs. I went to one Mizzou game that year, and he had 3 home runs by the 6th inning. And then we had to leave because we went with people who weren't like fans of baseball. Their friend was singing the national anthem, and they had free tickets. So I went, and he hit 3 home runs by the 6th inning. And I'm like, this is probably the best baseball player ever. Like this guy right here.
Yeah. No, I can remember going and watching like minor league baseball games, and I think I saw like I might have went to one Mizzou baseball game. I think I've been to one, and just like you don't know like who those guys are. Like you just have no idea, and it's kind of like odd. But then like those names stick with you. Like I can remember seeing oh shoot, I went to a Springfield Cardinals game and I saw I think it was Tommy Pham playing, and that was one of the guys I was just like, maybe I'll see this guy in the big leagues, and I watched him in the big leagues. So it was pretty cool. While we're on the baseball topic, there are some heated races in the National League. The American League, on the other hand, it's already done. You got it. Your bracket is set. You have Boston clinching the East. Houston, I don't know if these are clinched, like they've clinched a division yet. I think they just have playoff spots. Like it can still change. Oh, no, they clinched the division. I was wrong. So, yeah. Houston clinched the division. Cleveland clinched the division basically in April. The Yankees and the Athletics will be in the wild card. That game will take place in New York. That'll be a good game. I'm excited for that. And I know Toby and I talked earlier in the summer, and the only reason we'd want the Yankees to win a wild card game is so that they would play Boston and they'd have a ALDS series.
Right. That would be just a ton of fun, I think, for everybody involved. I think it'd be great for the MLB if those two teams met up. But at the same time, the Oakland A's are probably this year's biggest underdog story, except for maybe the Braves. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
definitely in the American League.
Yeah.
Because I know.
Oh, in the American League, yeah. I think everybody expected these other 4 teams to be there before the season started.
Yeah.
The A's have the lowest payroll.
Something like that. I know that the way that the A's like kind of rose like this is crazy, and because nobody expected it. Like Seattle was in it for a long time. It's crazy that Tampa Bay which they were 8 games out of the wild card second spot, but like that it was never really close. But like Tampa Bay, is a team that's like the third team in the American League East, but
the Tampa Bay Devil Rays super unfortunate.
Just
You know,
Rays now.
it was what?
They're just the Rays now.
Yeah, whatever.
I still like calling.
I like the Devil Rays better.
too, that's my
Anyway,
favorite.
I like those throwback uniforms.
you
that
know
they
the
wear
Rays,
sometimes.
like that's like we talk about teams who need like we talk about off the podcast how the Browns just need like
to rebrand.
The Rays is like a rebranding success story because they rebranded and then they went to the World Series and they've been pretty solid ever since. But the Rays, like with the record that they would have, they would be in like the National League. They'd have a playoff spot and they would even be like leading some divisions. So it's just really unfortunate that like where they play. But like I know I'll be rooting for the Athletics because my guy Steven Piscotty is on that team. And
yeah, he's had a rough year. His mom died. I know the Cardinals traded him out there because that's where he's from, and his mom died earlier this year because of cancer. And it was a cool move by the Cardinals to trade him out there, but
it was ALS.
It was ALS, yeah. It wasn't.
But honestly,
still,
this is gonna be okay. So he was struggling last year partially because of that, and he was so far away. But the Cardinals traded him to the A's, and he's been really solid for that ball club, especially like after his mom passed away. He's got a 268 batting average, 26 bombs, 85 RBIs, a slugging of 488. So like he's a solid ball player. People forgot because he had one down season because of like off-field distractions.
Right. I mean, I think that the American League is pretty self-explanatory. Like I said earlier, I don't know if you remember back in February. I'll see if I can pull that blog up. I got pretty dang close to calling almost all these playoffs. Don't want to toot my own horn or anything.
Nostradamus Franklin over there.
Yeah, but I got pretty close. Nobody would have picked the A's to begin with, but hey.
Yeah. I don't think anybody at the beginning of the season saw Matt Chapman is becoming one of the
Chris Davis.
Yeah, Chris Davis. I mean, that's a guy who hit a lot of home runs, and he knew that he had a lot of power. But then he combined that with an improved batting average. I think he trails only JD Martinez at RBIs this season.
I'll stat check you real quick. You know RBI leaders?
Yes.
Okay.
I think Davis is too.
But Chris Davis has honestly been absolutely raking the ball. I saw a tweet from a fellow Nosebleed Knowledge guy, Andrew Wegley. He said that Chris Davis is the best KD in the Bay Area, and I tweeted back at him. I said, "I'm tweeting at you to let you know that you were completely right about this." And he is. You're right. JD Martinez, who has been having an unbelievable season, 127 RBIs. Chris Davis, 121. Next closest, Javi Baez with a 111. So like these two guys are both having really good years, driving in runs, and Chris Davis, it's good to see he's now becoming the Chris Davis, not Chris Davis from Baltimore.
Right. I think he's surpassed him easily now. I don't think we should start calling the other one Chris Davis with a C instead.
Chris with a C, yeah.
Yeah.
Not Chris with a K, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with that. I'm totally with that. We'll move on to the National League here. These races are more exciting. You have right now, if the playoffs were to start today, you have the Cubs clinching the Central. No, they just clinched the playoff berth. They haven't clinched the Central yet because Milwaukee, right? Because Milwaukee could still get the Central, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you have Atlanta clinched the division. Yeah, the Atlanta clinched the division. Colorado clinched a wild card spot, at least, if they don't win the division, right? You looking at the same thing I am?
No.
Okay. I think that Colorado hasn't clinched yet.
Colorado hasn't. Yeah.
No, they haven't clinched it. That's on me. They haven't clinched yet.
Because Colorado's there's 3 games left, and they're a game and a half up on the. No, are they only a game up on the Redbirds?
Dodgers? Who are you talking about?
Sorry, ESPN's the website is being.
Go to MLB. MLB's a better website.
Well, I had the standings up on ESPN.
Well, Colorado right now is leading the division.
Yeah.
It looks like it's by a game and a half. So I'm on the wild card view right now. But so this race right here, the Cardinals are a game out, and it's going to become Kieran and I talked about this because Kieran's a Cardinals fan, if you don't already know, and the Cardinals really don't control their own destiny, which sucks.
That's not a good spot to be
They
in.
ran into this
Terrible.
last year too, where they were a game out against, or they were half a game out on the Giants into the last game of the season, and they won that, but the Giants had to lose. The Giants ended up winning, and it was something like that. So it sucks, but I was telling Tucker the way that the season started. If you would have told me in June that the Cardinals would be a game out of going into the last series, the Cardinals would be a game out of playoff contention, I would have thought you were crazy. A team that was fluctuating above 500, it was just, I would have told you were insane. And it's just been, if they don't make it, I'll be heartbroken, but like,
You can't be too upset.
I can't be too upset.
Right.
Yeah.
I can remember we were recording turn 2 in the middle of the summer, and both of our teams were trending in not a very positive direction. I can remember some of our conversations about Mike Matheny. We talked a lot about Mike Matheny. And do you think that the firing of Mike Matheny really changed the direction of that team, or do you think it was the moves that they made at that time?
I think it was both. Mike Schilt has, he's just overall, he's a better manager than Mike Matheny was. Mike Matheny was a good player, and in today's day and age, Mike Matheny is not a good manager for this team. He doesn't really relate to people very well. There were reports that he wasn't really talking to Dexter Fowler, who Dexter Fowler and Marcell Ozuna were two big acquisitions, both for their play on the field and just for their clubhouse presence. And he wasn't talking to Dexter Fowler, and it was like, if you can't get along with Dexter Fowler, it's not Dexter Fowler's fault. That's what a lot of people have said.
Yeah.
He also reports that I saw have been that he became really like bullheaded, like wouldn't take advice from really anybody. The hitting was awful, and it was because John Mabry was like Mike Matheny's best friend, and so like that's why he was still on the team. But like the firing of Mike Matheny, also like they fired the John Mabry, and when they did all that, they also revamped the entire bullpen. So if you look at the Memphis Redbirds starting rotation at the beginning of the season, the starting rotation was all in the majors by like mid-July.
Yeah, it was mid-July is what I think.
So like Mike Schilt is a better manager than Mike Matheny for this day and age, but I also think like all the moves that they made, calling up the younger players, getting younger, I think that played a really large role into it too. Because I think Mike Schilt knows how to handle a bullpen better. Mike Matheny ran into the issue where he was and I hate to talk about the Cardinals as much, so I'll wrap it up. But like he was too focused on players' egos and stats. So like if in a high leverage situation, like bases loaded, down one, pitcher coming up, but it's only like the 5th inning, he would most likely keep the pitcher in so the pitcher was able to get that stat line. Whereas Mike Schilt will go to the bullpen earlier, and that's just like an example.
Yeah, I did notice that when we went to that Cardinals game, and that was a really good baseball game that we went and saw. It's Cardinals Nationals, and Mike Schilt really had a short leash for starting pitchers, and I think I did like that. That was a fun game. There's a lot of home runs in it.
A whole lot of home runs. Oh yeah,
got to see
always a
Bryce
good game to
Harper
watch.
and Juan Soto hit a home run. That's like checking a couple things off my bucket list because you guys know how much I like Bryce Harper.
Yeah, Tucker was probably so hard when that happened.
No, I was moderately. I was a half staff. Half staff. So as of right now, do you think that the Cardinals will make the playoffs?
As of right now,
well, obviously right now they're not in it, but do you think right now where you are, do you think they'll make it?
Well, let me look up who we've got pitching for us.
The Royals aren't gonna make it.
Adam Wainwright, Miles Michaelis.
Never give up hope.
Adam Wainwright, Miles Michaelis, and Probably Jack Flaherty on. I think we're putting our best pitchers out there. I think we're putting our best
against a struggling Cubs team.
Against a struggling Cubs team, we are putting Jack Flaherty. We're putting Adam Wainwright, who since he's came back has been really good. Miles Michaelis has been the ace of the staff all season, and Jack Flaherty has put together a campaign for Rookie of the Year. So they're not just rolling over; they're putting their best pitchers out there in a situation. So I think they will, but that's the optimist in me. The Dodgers are facing the Giants, who that's rivalry
in San Francisco.
So that'll be tough. But I don't know a whole lot about the
Colorado has the Nats too at home.
Yeah, I don't. Hopefully, we're just hoping for a bad team to play spoiler here. That's all we're hoping for.
Yep. I think that's what we're looking at here for the National League and really MLB. At the beginning of February, I called Milwaukee and Boston, which it's wild that it can still happen. That I said that in February, and it's pretty crazy that can still happen. Because I thought the Brewers were one of those picks that everyone was going to be like, "What, the Brewers?" But yeah, that team's pretty good. I don't know if you saw Christian Yelich wrote a story for Players Tribune about how Locane has really helped him in his development in Milwaukee, and it was a good read. I do recommend it. I don't like to read a lot, but like the articles I do like to read are the Players Tribune articles where the players write them. I think that's pretty neat.
You had a neat perspective on the game.
Yeah, there's been a couple about concussions I've read just in football, and I think there's a lot of very interesting stuff for the Players Tribune. If you don't read it, you should definitely check it out. Go ahead and move on to football because it is football season. Just had to get a little baseball talk in there. There's a quick little 15, 20 minutes worth of baseball talk. We've been neglecting baseball on this podcast and really thought since postseason baseball was coming up that we should definitely touch on it. So we'll move on to what do you guys want to do? NFL or college football first?
What did we do last time? Do you remember?
I don't.
We did
NFL first?
College football first.
All right, let's do college football. So there are, I believe, 2, right? Top 10 matchups. We'll talk about
I
those.
think Penn State's just outside top 10.
Penn State's just outside. Okay. So there's one for sure, and it's Notre Dame and Stanford, which is a classic rivalry. As of late, it's.
I would say,
as of late, yeah.
I
saw some great T-shirts for it though that I definitely want to get. It says Catholics versus the Conifers.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a great T-shirt.
That's a good one. No, that's a top 10 matchup. Ohio State, Penn State. Penn State's number 9.
Yeah.
So it's a top 10 matchup. Okay. Those are both going on at 6:30. One's on ABC, one's on NBC.
Yep. Oh, that's annoying.
Yeah, so we'll have to switch in between those games. So, what are your thoughts on the Ohio State-Penn State game? I saw an article today saying this Ohio State offense with Dwayne Haskins could be one of the best Ohio State offenses they've had in a long time.
This is better than any offense I think they've had with Barrett.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they can throw the football now.
Right.
Which, that obviously makes it tough. The last time they played at Penn State, Happy Valley, the whiteout game, we were actually over at President Lyle's house. We saw Penn State return the blocked field goal, pull off the upset, and then that led to the college football playoff decision where it was, are you going to put Ohio in or are you going to put Penn State in?
Yeah.
I was a big advocate for Penn State at that time.
So was I.
Yep, and that could potentially be the case again this year. I'm hoping not because I'm hoping Michigan beats both teams.
Yeah.
But this Penn State team is really unique because they don't have the names that Ohio has, but they have a more proven quarterback who's played in more games like this. I think Haskins, he played pretty well against TCU.
Is he a freshman or sophomore?
Freshman. Oh,
Haskins,
sophomore.
he's a sophomore. He played last year. He got in when Barrett got hurt against Michigan.
That's right.
Yep.
He got in. And he made a few good passes. But McSorley's played in these games. Penn State, anytime you have to play at Penn State, that's obviously going to be that's going to be a really hard game. Any whiteout night game that they have is.
I love when Penn State does their whiteout.
I'm honestly surprised they haven't
so
stopped
good.
that yet for like racial things, like for racial
Whiteout?
undertones. Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
They
I think
would.
it's
You would be surprised.
I don't think that'll happen. It's just like a shirt color, you know. It's not
I know,
like
but
you're not making a statement.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I think because it's
Everybody's
always
PC.
it's almost like
It'd be different if Penn State hardly ever did a whiteout, and then one year they scheduled like an HBC, like a historically black college game, and for that game they did a whiteout. That would be different.
Okay, that would be
because that's
different,
making a
but-
statement. But it's just a tradition at Penn
Okay,
State.
that's fair. But I'm just saying that people are PC now.
It
You
is
get offended about a
2018,
lot of stuff.
right.
It's 2018. You gotta watch what you say. All right, let's pick it. Ohio State, Penn State. Who you got, Toby?
I'm obviously very biased. With that being said, Ohio's offense too good. Penn State struggled. At times this season they've struggled. So I've got the Buckeyes winning this one.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to. I don't like Ohio State at all. I really like Penn State. I like James Franklin. Trace McSorley is the more experienced quarterback, but I feel like in games like this he's struggled, and they've struggled a couple times this season. The box score doesn't really show it against the Illini because they ended up winning like 63-21 or something like that. But they were trailing for a lot of that game. And then they lost to who'd they lose to? Didn't they lose to someone? Yeah, Penn State. Well, they've been played close.
They played coached by App State.
Yeah,
App State played them close.
So I like Penn State, but I'm not really. They haven't really been proven yet against these teams, so I'm gonna take Ohio State.
Shane.
Yeah, I think we're all gonna agree on this. Honestly, hate Ohio State, but their offense is just explosive this season. You can tell, like, usually when a team loses a head coach for the first few games, they have all that drama. They just can't put it together on offense because they just struggle with cohesiveness and chemistry. Ohio State has shown none of that on offense. They are incredibly talented.
We're all just begrudgingly agreeing. Like we're like
it sucks, but Ohio State is way good
Yeah.
this year. And Penn State, top 10 pretenders. I don't think they're actually good enough to be in the top 10.
I
They're
don't
barely
like.
in there right now. And like you said, they struggle with not great teams. I think they're going to get their ass kicked by Ohio State.
I don't like that we all are about to pick the same team, so I'm gonna pick Penn State.
you know
You're going to pull Lee Corso?
Yeah,
Give him the
They're-
kiss of
just so we
death?
don't all pick the same.
their running backs this year. I watched the replays on SVP at night, but they looked good. But Saquon Barkley covered up a lot of holes on that offense, and then Gesicki, he was pretty good too.
Mhm.
So like they lost two of their biggest offensive weapons.
As I did state earlier, though, going into Penn State to play in front of that atmosphere,
Yeah.
literally anything can happen.
Right.
One off game by Haskins, and he's bound to have one. And
This could be it.
yeah, this could be it.
And Taint Martell, he's stepping up.
Taint Martell.
Next matchup, another top 10 matchup. Number 7 Stanford at number 8 Notre Dame. This is a Notre Dame team that, personally, in my opinion, I don't think is as good as they were. Like, since they played Michigan week 1, they haven't been that good.
I think that Michigan really shot themselves in the foot a lot that game.
I agree with that.
I don't think that Notre Dame is as good as people thought they were after that week 1 win.
Because
you chalk that up to the whole offseason. You know, Notre Dame had that Michigan game marked on their schedule. Like, this is the game they're super hyped for, and it's
Yeah, they
week
did have-
1. So they kind of just used up all of their energy on that first game, and now they're like, well, shit, now what's next? You know,
So-
we peaked at week 1. Everything's downhill from there.
after that week 1, they played Ball State, beat them 24-16, which is not what you should lose to Ball State or beat Ball State by if you're a number 8 team in the nation.
No.
Then they beat Vandy, who is not a very good football team, 22-17. Then at Wake Forest, they beat them 56-27, which you're starting to get to the points that you want to be, but that's still
That's a lot of points to give up on defense. 27 points can win you a football game.
yeah. So I mean, they play Stanford this Saturday. Yeah, the 29th, Saturday. I think it'll be a really good game, but it's hard for me because it's at home. and they
Yeah.
pack that place. They play well at home, so we'll see. I'm never really big on Stanford because I always think Stanford is a pretender, but I think that might be my bias against the Pac-12.
Agreed.
I don't know why I have a Pac-12 bias. I just think every team in the Pac-12 is
It's
just
weak
like not
football.
very good.
It's weak football.
Yeah.
I mean, you watch teams in the Big Ten and the SEC, and it's just it's more reminiscent of like how football used to be, where it's kind of hard-nosed football for the most part. You see a lot of big runners and stuff for the Pac-12. They like to air it out more. I don't know. It works for them, but I don't like it.
See, I'm gonna have to kind of counter that by saying if there's one team who does play like a Big Ten or an SEC team for the Pac-12, it's Stanford.
Yeah.
And Stanford, quite frankly, they've been a team who a lot of years we just expect them to dump it off, throw short passes, then try to just run the ball down your throat. Well, they have a bunch of like 6'5", 6'6" receivers, which is just a nightmare for teams to cover.
Yeah.
And I think Arcega-Whiteside's one of the most prolific touchdown catchers in the country right now. KJ Costello is probably the most consistent quarterback that's been played for him in quite some time. Bryce Love is still there. He didn't play. He hasn't played particularly well this year, but everybody knows what he's capable of.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
Stanford's really good. I think that Notre Dame, though, because they just made the change at quarterback too. They decided to go with Ian Book for their last game against Wake Forest, and they put up 56 points. Which I know it's against Wake Forest, but for perspective, they put up less than half that against Ball State.
Mm-hmm.
So I think now with Ian Book at quarterback, I think the dynamic on Notre Dame changes incredibly.
They actually put up 56 on both Ball State and Vanderbilt combined.
Yeah.
So, exactly.
See, and Book,
Or no,
yeah.
they put up 46. Never mind. I'm not good at math.
Well,
I'm a
see,
math
Book
magician over
in one
there. Yeah.
game did more than Wimbush did,
Right.
and those two.
Actually, if you look at it, they've scored 24, 24, 22 in the 3 games that Wimbush played.
Yeah.
So, and then he puts up 56
Yeah.
on a not very good Wake Forest team, but that's still a Power 5 team.
The dynamic is a lot different, and I think if we're gonna make picks right now,
Go for it.
it'd be. It's a tough one to pick, but I think I'm going with Stanford because I don't think there's any way that Notre Dame's going to be able to cover all the tight ends, tall receivers that Stanford has.
KB?
Yeah, I am. This is a game between two teams that I like a lot. Two of my favorites. I like Stanford in this game. I feel like Bryce Love is due. You know, we always say that about people when they struggle for a couple games. I just feel like he's due. This game is sparsely attended. LA's not a football city.
That's a good point.
We're currently watching the Los Angeles Rams game right now.
I hate the Rams.
We'll talk about that later.
Damn it. I hate them so much. You know, this is a pretty big matchup for a Colts fan because two of my favorite players, Andrew Luck went to Stanford and Quentin Nelson went to Notre Dame. I know those two guys are super interesting and super big risk takers. I bet they have a pretty interesting bet going on in that locker room. Like someone has to read a book or something like that.
One of them has to read Catcher in the Rye.
Loser reads the winner's favorite book. That way everyone wins.
Loser gets a phone that's not a flip phone, and I bet both of them are like, oh no, man, I don't, no, come on, man. But Stanford has struggled at points this year. Notre Dame, I like Stanford. I'm gonna pick Stanford.
Shane.
Speaking of
I'm not
Andrew
a
Luck's
good
flip phone,
Catholic.
real quick, do you think he's still on minutes, or do you think he has like an unlimited call plan?
He gets the prepaid minutes.
That dude's definitely
There's
on minutes.
there's a 100% chance he just gets prepaid minutes.
He's the second the only one of two people in the country that's still on the minutes plan, and the other one coaches at Scott Catholic, Nick Danzy.
Wow.
I know that for a fact. He's still on minutes. So
Wow.
yeah. But to go with my pick, this is hard for me. I hate Stanford. I've written a blog about that. They're always overrated.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if Notre Dame is honestly good enough to beat them. I'm going to take Notre Dame, though. Fighting Irish.
I'm looking at these lines right now because that's what I like.
That's what I like. That's what I like.
Money line plus 185 for Stanford. Spread 5.5. Over under 52.
Under.
Okay.
I'm taking the under. Yeah.
I'm taking the under.
The matchup predictor has Notre Dame on ESPN.
Mhm.
It gives them a 67.2% chance to win.
See, yeah, I agree with ESPN.
But I'm smashing those money line.
Yeah.
I'm going 185. Stanford gets the W on the road. This will show that Stanford's a legit football team. I think this is where Stanford is like, all right, we're a real football team. You can watch us past 9 o'clock.
I might be
You know what? That might be another reason
I
I
might be
hate
smashing the under.
Pac-12 football, is because their games are so late.
That's
You know,
true.
I think people they play Saturday nights. Most college students are smashed by the time they're playing.
Yeah.
So I
That's
bet
a good
they're
point.
I bet they're like, this is an interesting football. I don't remember half the game. Well, there's probably other reasons you don't remember half the
Not
game.
us though, because we are pure academics.
Yeah,
Mhm,
because
we
I stay
only
up.
study.
I study. Whenever I'm not making PowerPoints about Cuba, I'm studying and watching football.
Wow.
That's true.
That's a good point.
What? I study football.
Do you know how many PowerPoints about Cuba I've made?
3?
I'm working on one
Why?
right now.
Oh. So we're going to move on and pick these other top 25 matchups. The first one is at 11 a.m. West Virginia at Texas Tech on ESPN2. You can catch that game. There's 731 tickets as low as $27 if you want to attend in Lubbock, Texas. So,
Dude, peep the So, for the two games that we just talked about, Ohio State, Penn State, 663 tickets as low as $210.
holy moly. And 273 tickets as low as 104?
And then you roll down to probably the third best game at 6:30, Arkansas Pine Bluff versus Florida International, 37 tickets as low as $6.
That game is... They're going to pack that place, baby. Back it up. Okay, Toby, so in Lubbock, who you think pulls that game out?
I'm just excited for offense.
It's a Big 12 football game.
What,
so
what
there's
is
gonna be
the
a lot of
over
it.
for that game? It's got to be like 100.
All right, I'll find it. The over/under. Texas Tech has a 61.4% chance to
I'm
win.
taking that over without a doubt.
Oh my goodness! Really? This over is 72.5.
I'm taking it.
I'm taking the
Over/under.
over.
I'm taking the over.
I'm
What
saying
would that mean? That means each team would have to score.
37.
36.
Basically.
Yeah. Yep. Taking the over. I'm not very
Yeah.
good at math.
race to 50. Tech gets there. Tech upsets West Virginia.
Tech's a
Ooh.
home dog. You always take a home dog.
You have to take a home dog.
That's my pick right there. Texas Tech. KB.
I like West Virginia. Country roads take me home.
I appreciate you always take a home dog. I think it's super hard, though, to bet against Will Grier. I think he's proven time and time again that he is an elite college quarterback.
Some might
And
even call him the best.
I would call him.
Some people would be wrong.
Him and Jake Browning go back and forth with me 1 and 2, because I think they're both. When I think of like best quarterback, I'm not just thinking like college. I'm thinking NFL career also. I think they go back and forth 1 and 2 for me. But so I'm
That's
gonna
weird
take
because
West
I
neither
think
Virginia.
they both have had the same NFL career so far. So
Neither of them led the league in touchdown passes last year.
Yeah. Well, Drew Lock is not. He's not gonna win a Heisman. He's not the best quarterback in the league. I'm
We've
sorry,
at
Tucker.
We'll
least.
see.
We will see. He's
quarterback
not
up.
even in the top.
People
three.
forget
You
about
know-
Drew Lock, and I'm
you
here to
know-
make sure that doesn't happen.
Actually, coming up in picks, we're going to talk about who most people think might be the number 1 quarterback taken. And it's not any of the guys we just mentioned.
That's very true.
But anyway,
Mm.
I'm taking West Virginia. I'm riding those country roads with Kieran.
Oh, so it's 2v2?
Yep.
All right, that's fine. Okay, the next matchup we have that we are going to pick that
I'm
we
picking
planned
Central
out
Michigan
before
over
this
Michigan
and are
State.
not improvising is another top 25 matchup between BYU and Washington at 7:30 on Fox. There's 1,360 tickets as low as $33.
This is an easy pick for me.
Yeah, this is at Husky Stadium in Seattle,
Yeah.
Washington.
Easy pick.
Let me check the matchup predictor here real
Washington
quick.
by 100.
Who? Washington, 92.5%
Yeah.
favored to win.
Washington by 100.
So that's Shane's pick. I'll give you the spread real quick. You want to hear the lines?
Yep.
Spread 17 in favor for Washington. Money line plus 625 for BYU. So that means that Washington's a 9.5 favorite, minus 950. Over under 45.5.
Oh, okay. I'm taking the over for that.
It's more fun. Life's too short to bet the over.
Bet the under.
Under.
I mean, yeah, it's way more fun to cheer for an over than an under.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a rough misquote by me.
This is actually an interesting game. I know that you just threw out all the numbers and stuff.
Yeah.
I think when Wisconsin played BYU, Wisconsin was 95% win probability.
Yeah, they're like 24-point favorites, I think.
Yeah, they were big time favorites. BYU went in there, beat them. BYU
at their place too, wasn't it?
It was
at Wisconsin.
in Wisconsin. BYU, stingy defense, pretty solid team. And Jake Browning has struggled a little bit this year at times. But at some point, it's like KB said about Bryce Love, like you just expect some guys to turn it around because they are that talented. They are that good. Jake Browning's going to get it turned around. And this is probably going to be the game where he does it, I think. I'm taking Washington.
I think, to your point about BYU being an upset team, I think it's super hard to upset a better team at home twice in one season. When you're on the road at their home twice in one season.
Yeah.
I think that Washington is lucky that it's a home game for them, because if it was wherever Brigham Young University is, Salt Lake City, probably that's the only interesting place.
That's the only place.
Is it in Utah?
Yeah, it's in Utah.
If it was in Utah, I think. Where is it? Provo. If it was in Utah, I think Washington's players would be too distracted by all the smokes, wanting to soak. And I think BYU would win. But it's in Washington, so I'm taking the Huskies.
If you think about it, BYU players have never had sex. They have a lot of built-up testosterone that's going to help them out in this game.
That's a good point. He makes a really good point, and I'm taking BYU because of that right there. BYU. I'm smashing that money line, getting that money. Next game.
Soaking that money line.
Soaking that money line. Okay. Oregon at Cal. This is a Pac-12 game that, what week was that where we just had a Pac-12 game? I think it was like USC and
USC
Stanford, and we were like, we don't even care.
We're like, I don't care
It's
about
Pac-12.
this game at all.
We don't care. If you want to attend, there's 401 tickets as low as $22. You can go to Berkeley, California. That game will be on Fox Sports 1. Check that game out. Cal has a 54% chance to win this game.
Really?
That's what matchup predictors are giving it. I'll give you the numbers here. Oregon's favored by 1.5. So minus 125 on the money line. Over under 58.
Really?
There'll be some points going in this one.
Yeah, I'll take that over for sure.
I'm taking the over.
Yeah. For my pick, though...
Cal at home, by the way. Cal's at home,
yeah. I'm still going to take Oregon. I think Cal is struggling to find itself on offense. Their play calling has been kind of inconsistent as of lately.
Pedestrian, some would call it.
Yeah, pedestrian, some would call it. Tucker would call it, I guess.
I would.
In Oregon, I mean, I know they lost last week, but I still think that they're a solid football team in the Pac-12, so I'm going to take Oregon in this one.
I'm going Cal, home dog.
Oregon should have won last week. They should have beaten Stanford
Agreed.
At home. Had they done that, they probably would have been hovering around top 10 area this week. They have one of the best quarterbacks in the country, Justin Herbert. Some think he's going to be the number one quarterback taken in the upcoming draft. With that being said, I remember it was about this time last year where I was working on mache heads at the Taw House for homecoming. And I saw Cal with a first-year head coach, a quarterback who had pretty much no confidence from anybody on the team behind him. And they beat a highly ranked Washington State team, just beat them down in Cal. I think there is something to be said about Cal's ascent now into being ranked, into being a team that people actually respect again. And I think the Cal Golden Bears are going to win this game over Oregon.
KB, did you give your pick?
No.
Oh.
I want to go with Oregon, but I've talked so much crap about Oregon to Kyrell. But I think I'm going to go with Cal.
I know. Yeah. Those will be some good. There's some good football on this weekend.
Yeah, I'm excited for this weekend
Yeah.
football.
We're starting to get into the weeks now where like teams have stopped playing cupcakes and now it's starting to get
Some good games
into
going.
get into conference play. Mizzou has a week off. That's okay because they really need to get healthy, get that defense figured out, and they have a week to game plan for South Carolina, who they really need to beat. Nebraska plays Purdue. They're home dogs, right?
Yep.
That'll be interesting. It depends on what Purdue team shows up. We talked about that on Tuesday's episode. Who's Michigan play, Toby?
Northwestern.
Okay. Yeah, you should beat them.
Michigan should win.
Yep. KB likes Mizzou too. Okay.
I do have one upset special this week. I've
What's
got
up?
Kansas State at home beating 18th ranked Texas. Kansas
I'm with
State has not looked good against ranked teams thus far this year, getting whooped by Mississippi State and by West Virginia. But I feel like this week, Bill Snyder team coming off really an embarrassing performance. I think Kansas State's going to beat Texas. I think the Big 12 is going to have
Texas.
itself all sorted out pretty soon.
All right. Let's move on to the NFL. Let's talk about our teams. So the Colts play the Texans this week. Open up AFC. Is this your first AFC South game?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Okay. First AFC South game. Texans have kind of struggled this year. They're not like the Texans that they were when, what's his bucket was healthy. Deshaun Watson, 0-3. What do you think about this game, Gibby?
Where is it in Houston?
It's in Indianapolis. Oh, it's in Indianapolis.
Indianapolis. I like the Colts in this one. Obviously, I think. The defense has played really well. Deshaun Watson has not played as well as everyone wants
Wants him to be.
Yeah, he coming off that ACL, especially for a mobile quarterback. We saw Robert Griffin, and not saying that Deshaun Watson and Robert Griffin are the same player, but he struggled. He struggled ever since coming back from that ACL injury. I feel like if the Colts can just simply, all they have to do is just contain or try to slow down DeAndre Hopkins, and they'll win. The offense has to figure it out at some point. I think it'll help. I don't know if they're gonna be back, but Marlon Mack will be active this week, and Anthony Costanzo is practicing. And really, the Colts have struggled a lot at the right tackle spot. So I think the Colts will win this game by, I don't know, maybe 7 points, especially at home.
They're favored by 1.5.
I think they'll win by maybe 7 points.
Over under 47.
Over under 47?
I'm taking
the under there.
I'm taking the under.
Yeah, I'd take the under too. Well, it's in a dome, so
That's true.
that might play into it. But this is two teams with offenses that have struggled. A 1-2 team against an 0-3 team. I think there'll be a lot of field goals in this game. Colts by a touchdown.
We'll talk about your team next, Tobes. Patriots take on the Dolphins. I believe that's at home. They're favored by 6.5 points. Over under set at 48. What do you think about this game?
Well, you hate to call it a must win in week 4. With that being said, the Patriots are 1-2. The Dolphins are 3-0. So you don't want to fall behind too early because you're not going to give yourself enough games to make it back up, you know? I think this win would go a long way to winning the division for, the 10th straight year? 10th straight season they'd win it?
Yeah, let me fact check you on that, but keep going.
But, yeah, this is a team who the Patriots have, traditionally, this has been their hardest divisional game. Out of all AFC East teams, has played the Dolphins. I'm excited to see what Josh Gordon does, obviously. And hopefully some changes have been made on the defensive side of the ball so that we stop allowing
9 straight.
9th straight.
So it would make it 10.
Would make it 10th.
Yeah, it would make it 10, yeah.
Yeah, so I think a win here would be huge for the Patriots. I think, obviously in the standings, but also in terms of gaining some confidence for the season. And after this week, we get Edelman back, and things should sort themselves out. But got to win this one first.
It's true. What's your prediction? What do you think? What are you thinking? You taking the spread 6.5 favored? You think they'll beat them by more than 6.5?
Yeah.
Dolphins are 3-0. That's a sneaky 3-0 team.
Oh, yeah.
And Ryan
I've-
Tannehill
People
looks pretty
forget
good,
about
yeah.
Ryan Tannehill.
I've got
They
Pats,
really do.
Pats 28-17 over the Dolphins.
You smashing the over or under?
I think I'm gonna go under. I think the
Oh, well, you
2017
said
is the under.
2017, so like
yeah,
Yeah,
I think the over under
yeah.
was 48, right?
it's 48. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have had that at about 45. So
All right. Shane, go to your Dallas Cowboys here.
This
They're
is
favored in this game.
Yeah, they're favored, but this is a super hard game to like predict.
Confusing.
Both teams have looked so inconsistent.
Yes.
Like the Lions, week 1, I thought were the worst team in the NFL. Like they looked like trash.
the Jets hung 40 on them, didn't they?
Yeah, the Jets hung 40 on them.
Yeah.
The New York
It's-
Jets.
It's the thing about. I think the Rams and the Vikings, the two teams playing on Thursday night, are the two most talented teams in the league. But I think the gap between everybody else is so much smaller than it has been in years past.
Yeah, they're both very equal teams, and it's in Detroit if I'm
Oh,
not
that's true.
mistaken, right?
No, it's in Dallas.
Oh, it's in Dallas. Okay, so
Mhm.
that's probably why the Cowboys are favored. If it was in Detroit, I think I would take Detroit in this one. I think Dallas will lose because Matt Stafford plays really well at home.
Yeah.
Him and Patricia are starting to click now. As you can see, then they beat the Patriots last week. But I don't know. This is a tough game to call. I'm gonna take Cowboys because it is in Dallas.
Favored by a field goal.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you said, the favored by a field goal. It's going to be a real close game. I think if Dak can start connecting with anyone, like one of our receivers that we have,
Mm-hmm.
Allen Hurns, we haven't heard much from Allen Hurns this season at all. And he was supposed to be like our big get in the
Yeah, it's not
offseason.
good.
So if we can start connecting with Allen Hurns, maybe Michael Gallup again, he's been looking really good, especially for a young guy. I think we can squeak this one out. I'll take Cowboys 21, Lions 17.
So taking the under.
Yep.
44.
Yep.
Talk about the Chiefs. That's a Monday night game.
You got to smash the over in this one.
Yes. What?
I don't
I
care
don't even
what
know what
it is.
but
55.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
over.
The Chiefs
Ob-
might hang 55 on the Broncos.
Obliterate
Yeah.
it.
That's optimistic. They're
obliterate
favored
it.
by 5 on the road. It actually opened at 4.5. No, it opened at 6.5. It went all the way down to 5. See, the Chiefs in their last 18 AFC West games have won 17 of them, which is a good stat. I like that stat.
Yeah.
I probably should have saved that for I like that stat. And another good stat here. I'm not really sure the exact stat, which is actually really bad for me to say. I'm going to tell you a stat and not know the exact stat. But Tyreek Hill's played really well on Monday nights, and especially he's played really well against Denver and Denver. So Tyreek Hill is he always does this, and he'll go off. Pat Mahomes, I'd love to see them get the ball in the first drive and just absolutely go over the top, score a touchdown, set the tone early, which they haven't been stopped on a 3-and-out yet this year. I know it's only with the third game of the season, but still, definitely smashing the over on this one.
You think Tyreek plays so well in Denver because they have thinner air? So it's not as much air to run through?
Possible. It's very possible. I'm gonna try to find the stat on like Monday Night Football.
Tyreek just beats him with his feet and then throws him down a staircase.
Yeah, dude, he's insane. He's so good. And the crazy thing is Tyreek Hill is not a very big guy.
No, he's a little guy. But he jumps out of the freaking stadium.
Yeah,
He's got like a 42, 43-inch vertical or something like that.
wild. He put it's on primetime games. Primetime stats that he is really good on, and I'll save it for my. I like that stat, but I think I'm gonna take the Chiefs in this one. That might be a bias pick, obviously, but I think they beat them by more than 5 though. So I'm gonna take this. They'll beat the spread. Chiefs.
Even though the Chiefs' defense is like atrocious.
Yeah. No, this is what the Chiefs defense does. The Chiefs will get a 21-point lead, give up the 21-point lead, but then they'll still beat them by 2 scores.
Yeah.
So I mean, they just honestly what the Chiefs defense has to do is get a couple stops late in the game, and they need to sign a freaking safety. Speaking
That's
of that,
really apparent.
Eric Reed signed today with the Panthers. He's more of like a run stopping safety, so
Yeah.
like that's not really what the Chiefs want. The Chiefs are really trying to get Earl Thomas, because he's more of a ball hawk and they need another guy in the backfield. Imagine that safeties if Eric Berry comes back and it's Earl Thomas and Eric Berry. Like, that safety backfield would be dope. But I don't know if they can get a deal done or not, so we'll see. We will see. You want to move on to what segment do you want to do first?
Just do wild moves.
Okay. Oh yeah, let's talk about our fantasy football league. So, KB, you want to talk about the league? Just go give us a rundown of the scores and everything from last week.
I'll take us around the league. I'll hit on our teams first. So let's go to Tucker. We'll talk about Tucker's game first. Tucker's matchup featured two of the more provocative names in the league, with Tucker right in the pussy, right after went up against Sundays are for Kiss and Titties. Kiss and Titties won 114.8 to 101.9. Tucker, your thoughts?
I just think that's on me. I don't think I put the best team out there on the field, and I didn't put my guys in the best position to win. I got to hit the film more. I got to make sure I'm doing everything I can for my team. I think that it really falls on me.
You just got
like a true coach.
You just got to make sure it's not a locker room issue.
Yeah, I think it could be it. I think the hard part is, Zeke's not been playing well. He was my first pick, I believe. So, I mean, it's rough when your first pick doesn't play very well. But, it's just a little adversity. They'll do okay. I just want to see how these guys respond to this adversity.
That's a good point. Now we're going to go over to the next game, which featured, featured the other two members of the podcast, Shane Miller and Toby Todd, played against each other. Shane went with the classic Team Miller. That's his name.
Classic.
Yeah.
And Toby went with a name that I'm not going to say on air.
That's a good idea.
So we're going to...
No, I'll say it.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
So...
She's not listening.
How do you know she's not listening?
Don't say it.
So, Toby's team... Yeah, I know. I like that. Shane's team beat Toby's team.
The team was undefeated.
It was a contentious Sunday in the household with all the pressure that was on this game. Do you guys care to share?
Yeah, I beat him with a running back that wasn't even playing. So, your thoughts?
It's almost like my receivers weren't playing because Keenan Allen didn't do shit. Amari Cooper didn't do shit. So, it's tough to win when your receivers play like garbage. The production you would have gotten from Fournette was gotten by Cam Newton with his legs.
Yeah.
Actually, probably more than what Leonard Fournette would have gotten.
Easily more.
Yeah.
Cam Newton had a game.
Newton's probably a better running back than Leonard Fournette is. Honestly.
Having Cam Newton is like having, kind of your basic quarterback, so your Case Keenum or something, or someone who's good enough to play, but also a running back in the same position.
Right. And that really helps because Fitz threw for over 400 yards. That's my quarterback, Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
Threw for over 400 yards. I mean, he did have 3 picks, but he had 3 touchdowns too. Still was outscored by Cam Newton because he had the 2 rushing touchdowns. So that's always tough.
And we'll finish up, with the members of the Nosebleed Knowledge team, the 4 of us that record the podcast. We'll finish up with my game, where my experiment, I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say that it's not a good, it's going to be a failed experiment, as my team got doubled up by Team Ramsey. The Indianapolis Colts lost 79.4 to 162.4. I just think it's tough. I did not think the offense would be the issue with this team. I thought the defense would give me negative points each week, but the defense has been one of my top scorers every week, which is
either really impressive or really sad.
Which is tough, So, I mean, I'm 0-3 this week going into week 4. So, hopefully we can turn it around, get at least 1 win this year, and then I'm just going to say that this is the last year I'm going to be running this experiment.
Do you want me to go over the standings real quick?
Let me hit on the other 2 games. Dimitri Krochlikmioff beat my meat fastest Tyreek 129.1 to 127.9.
Yeah, Dimitri Krochlikmioff is my brother. And he texted me before the Monday night game. He was down by 39 points. And he was like, Toby, do you think I can come back and win? And I was like, well, you got two guys playing. Like, they're both going to have to kind of go off. And luckily, he had Big Ben and Antonio Brown. And he was able to
Yeah, it's two good guys to have.
Yep, combined for 41 points. So,
let's say that works.
Hey.
And the other team, the other game in this league, featured a hardcore porn, which won 121.2, beat Team Davis 64-3 or 64.3.
I still think
I
Team
phrased
Davis
that
is,
wrong. It was 121.2 to
Jordan Davis
64.3.
might be the worst manager in the league.
He's still playing Lev Bell.
You know, he's playing. Let me go to the scoring breakdown because I want to see exactly who he played.
Wasn't a great offensive.
He did not play a second wide receiver. He played one receiver, played two guys that are out. Carson Wentz finally played. Carson Wentz has been in his lineup since day one. So Carson Wentz finally played. I just can't. He might be he went out of his way. He also played the Patriots defense, which had a rough game. He went out of his way to take a wide receiver out of his lineup, but then didn't bother replacing him while he was there, taking him out of his lineup, which is a wild
It's an interesting move.
That's my wild move. Jordan Davis is managing
It's an interesting
tactics.
move.
So let's throw it over to Shane for the standings. Shane.
So right now in the East, Team Ramsey and myself, Team Miller, are tied for first place, both 3-0. We're actually meeting up this week, so this week we'll kind of determine the standings in the East there. Followed by Tucker Wright and the Pussy, 1-2. Followed by Toby's team, who has a name we shall not mention for some reason. Also 1-2, and then the Indianapolis Colts are 0-3. Similar to last year, I guess, for the Indianapolis Colts. In this league.
I won a game last year.
I was talking about the real ones. And then
4-12.
in the West, looks like we have the other Brennan brothers, Sundays Over Kissing Titties at number 1, 3-0. Hardcore Porn is number 2 in the West, sitting at 2-1. And then Beat My Meat, Fastest Tyreek, and Dimitri Krotchlik are both tied for third, 1-2 for both of those teams. And Team Davis, you want to guess what they are?
0-3.
It's 0-3.
When you play Jordan, that'll be a shootout.
That'll be good.
Knowing my luck, that'll be the week that Lev Bell comes back.
Yeah,
Evan Ingram's back.
Go up. Jordan realizes he's missing a receiver.
Jordan's like, oh crap! I've been playing fantasy football. I forgot about that, and they just score like 235 points or something ridiculous.
It'll also be the Colts bye week.
Yeah, I hope I play Kieran on week 9. It's week 9, right? Is that your bye week? Okay.
Julian
somebody check the schedule real quick. See who
our matchups are next week.
Week 9, just so who gets to play the Colts.
No, let's leave it a surprise. I want to be pleasantly surprised if it's me.
I'm gonna look it up. Week 9. Dang it. It's Shane.
Yeah.
Shane plays Kieran week 9.
There's another W.
You are favored by 111 points in that game. So that's actually very funny. Oh, okay. Let's do only one segment.
Let's do wild moves. I forgot that we were doing it like that stat, and I don't have one.
Okay. That's wild moves. Shane, you start us off with your wild move.
All right, here's a wild move. So, in 1998, Mark McGwire hit his 70th home run. 70th home run. Pretty good milestone.
That's a lot. That's a lot of those.
Yeah, that's a lot of home runs. That was for Kieran's Cardinals. Woo! Phil Ozerski, presumably a fan who was sitting at the game, catches said home run ball.
It's a black eye.
Yeah, he did. He took it to the face. This picture, it's swollen. The Cardinals offered him a signed bat, ball, and jersey for the home run ball. So they gave it to Mark McGwire or put it in a museum or something. I don't know. Maybe it's like an Indiana Jones thing, like, this belongs in a museum. Like, you know. But Ozerski said no to all that because he wanted to meet Mark McGwire.
No, he wanted to meet Mark McGwire in addition.
Oh.
In addition to that.
Well, that throws in another flag. So, yeah. He also wanted to meet Mark McGwire, which honestly doesn't seem like that
big of a
deal.
Like, if you're going to give him that stuff, just have Mark McGwire give him that stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Although it does seem kind of odd that, like, this guy looks like he's, like, in his 30s, like, wants to meet this guy so bad, you know? That he was, like,
It'll be me, so it's okay.
I would want to as
No,
well.
I know, but like it seems like if it was a kid, it definitely would have happened. But since it's an adult, it seems kind of weird.
Yeah, that's fair.
McGuire said no. So 3 months later, Ozerski still possessed the ball, sold it for $3.05 million.
It's a lot of money.
That is a good amount of cash.
That's
probably the best black eye he's ever gotten.
I bet it is.
Yeah.
Tucker, how tall would $3.5 million be in $100 bills? Just take.
So if $1 million is 2.5 feet,
right?
Take that times 3, basically.
So it's 2.5 plus 2.5
plus another
5.
Another 2.5.
5. 10? No.
7.5 feet.
7.5. We should do a new segment of Tucker does mental math.
Wild move. Tucker can't count to 7.
That'll be a Tuesday segment. We're struggling to come up with segments for Tuesday, so it'll just be Tucker does math.
Here's an interesting question, though. Would you guys have taken the deal to just get the stuff? If you're like, I want to meet Mark McGuire also, and they're like, he said no, would you be like, all right, well, I'll just take the stuff then? Or would you be like, no, I'm keeping the ball?
There's principle in just like taking the ball. You know, like I understand that.
You don't know that you're gonna make $3 million off this, just so you know.
Well, you know it's gonna be worth something.
Yeah, but you don't know how much.
I think I would take the stuff.
I think I would take the stuff too.
Because I don't know how I would. I don't know how I would like sell a. I don't know how people are like.
Who do you
I'll
sell
just
it
sell
to
that.
for $3 million?
It's a great question.
Whenever someone's like,
I don't know.
I'll just sell that. I'm like, how do you go about?
To who?
Yeah, like the only people that I know are like the people around me, and like nobody is like, hey, do you want to buy this? And nobody's gonna be like, yeah, I have $3.05 million. I'll take that from you. Like,
I wonder if he just like knows some wealthy people. He's like, yeah,
probably on eBay.
It looked like he was at an auction though, so I don't know.
Yeah, no, there are sports auctions that you can give stuff to, and then they give you the profit. I don't know how that works. I have never had anything of value.
No, me either.
So, KB, you have a wild move?
Yeah, my wild move. It came out earlier this week. It was Media Day, and that's fun. Everybody loves NBA Media Day. All the stories come out. Jimmy Butler wants a trade. You know, Timberwolves wanted Ben Simmons straight up for Jimmy Butler, which, you know, that's probably an easy no for the Sixers. But one of the craziest things that came out.
Never get it if you don't ask.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true. One of the craziest things that came out of Media Day was a reporter asked Kawhi a question. We don't know exactly what the question was, but Kawhi, you know, the charismatic guy that he is, responded with, I think Tucker has the audio. Tucker, can you play the audio?
I just have the audio of the laugh. I'll find
the audio. He starts it off with, you know, I'm a fun guy. If you want specifics on how I'm a fun guy, you're gonna have to ask me a different question.
The reporter like asked him like tell him about himself, and he's like, well, I'm a fun guy. I love the sport of basketball. And he's like, well, you're gonna have to ask me like more specific questions. And he's like, I can't even find you right now.
And then he proceeded to laugh. The worst. It's like he never laughed before in his life. And he's like, what is this emotion?
It's this right here. I'm about to play the laugh.
I honestly, I think it's a cry for help.
I think, and
I think he hates Toronto, and he's like feels trapped and almost like a prisoner there, and so he has to act like he likes it. He doesn't know how to. He's not that good of an actor, so he's
the laugh in itself is weird, but the fact that he doesn't really smile when he does it either.
He does not smile at all. That's why I say he's got dead eyes. He hates Toronto.
You know, I feel like that's the hardest he's laughed in months too. Like when I laugh hard, I throw my head back, slapping my knee, and like he didn't even really smile. He's like, just
he's got dead eyes, man.
Have you seen the video, that Vine of the guy who's like, you can't laugh or trying to laugh without smiling? He's like, you know, have you seen that one? Yeah. It's a funny one. I laugh every time, but that's what it reminded me of. Toby, you have a wild move?
I actually have 2 wild moves.
Oh,
It's been a wild week in sports. I'm gonna start off since we're already talking about the NBA. Tristan Thompson, for the now LeBron James-less Cleveland Cavaliers, made a statement today saying the Cavs are still the team to beat in the East.
I don't know about
He
that.
proceeded to give his reasoning that Boston lost Game 7 on their home court to the Cavs. The Toronto Raptors were swept by the Cleveland Cavaliers. So getting Kawhi Leonard didn't mean that much. And he proceeded to talk about the Philadelphia 76ers losing in 5 games in the postseason. Which all seem, if they still had LeBron James, to be reasonable claims. But there's a good chance that this Cavs team is bottom 5 in the NBA next year. There's just no talent on that team whatsoever. And all those other 3 teams have done is gotten better, I'd say.
He basically made the argument of we're the best until proven otherwise. And that Cavs team is trying to build around Kevin Love, which Kevin Love's a good player, but he's not nearly as good as he was in Minnesota. And we saw how not good of an idea it is to build around Kevin Love, even really good Kevin Love, and that was just didn't pay out for anybody.
So I thought that was pretty wild that Tristan Thompson would come at the rest of the Eastern Conference, and he has to know full well that team is about to get spanked all season by those 3 teams.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a wild move to me. Another wild move, an old man nearing retirement who doesn't want more money, because CC Sabathia needed to pitch 2 more innings to get his sub bonus that was established in his contract. I forget the amount. Tucker, what was it? $500,000.
Yeah.
$500,000. The Yankees won today's game 12-1. They beat the Rays 12-1. Sabathia didn't allow a single run, and he got ejected from the game 2 innings away from earning $500,000.
Good Lord!
I think he motioned over to the Rays dugout, and he said something like, "There you go, bitch." And the umpire was like, "Well, that's enough of this threatening black man," and they threw him out of the game. And it's going to cost him $500,000. But I am wondering.
Worth it?
I am wondering though, if he pitches really well in the postseason, if the Yankees might be like, "Nah, we have $500,000 to waste, and just give him the bonus anyway," because then all would be right.
It might be worth it. Have you ever called someone a bitch just straight to their face? It feels great.
Yeah,
Mm.
and
it might be worth $500,000 for CC Sabathia.
Yeah,
could be.
Well, this is a guy who can afford a new box of cereal before every game day.
That's very true.
He's big, but when he was in Cleveland, he used to eat a box of Lucky Charms every day.
That's wild.
Every day.
Absolute.
He was on Cribs, and that was a really good episode of Cribs, by the way. Go check it out. It's probably on YouTube. And he was like, "This is where I keep all my Lucky Charms. I eat a box a day."
It was a separate house.
It was just all Lucky Charms. It was a house made of boxes of Lucky Charms.
He is wild, though.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that is a wild move.
Yeah.
My wild move involves the Ohio State football team. They've been in the news a lot lately. And you know that they have the cover-up thing with Urban Meyer and sexual abuse, domestic abuse. So today they're starting their campaign because I guess they're wearing all white too to this whiteout game in Penn State. And
they're both wearing all white?
No. Penn State doesn't wear all white.
No, Penn State wears the blues at home.
I was gonna say
it's for the all white helmets.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But,
I was gonna say this is gonna be a nightmare for the referees.
Yeah. But so they're wearing all white. I think they're wearing silver pants maybe, but in the picture that they posted, it looks like they're wearing all white. And they posted this picture with the caption, "Silence the white noise." Picture of Austin Mack, and it just says silence over the top. So a lot of people make a big deal about thinking about before you hit send, is this tweet good? Should I send this? Yeah. And I think Ohio State just needs to hire a guy. Yeah. Before anybody on Ohio State or affiliated with Ohio State tweets anything or says anything, just say, do you really want to send this?
That said, "Come to Ohio State. We don't give a shit what you do as long as you play football."
And it just says silence on it.
Yeah.
You don't. I don't understand how this made it past like anybody.
Unreal. It was like, remember when that writer for, I think it was ESPN, got in trouble for making a racial slur in an article about Jeremy Lin?
Chink in the armor, yeah.
Yeah, but
that had to have gone through like 4 or 5 editors, and no one caught that.
yeah.
Like, it's the same thing. Like, how did no one catch on? Like, hey,
Right.
guys, I like what we're doing here, but this might be a bad time to release
Right.
an ad about silence.
Yeah, I don't. Oof. Just a wild move.
Yep.
That's just a wild move. Our wild moves are brought to you by Paison's Pizzeria. KB, you had a slogan, didn't you?
Yeah, Paison's Pizzeria, eating good in the Pizza Hood.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Paison's Pizza. It's pizza.
Paison's Pizza,
Pizza.
freaky, fast, and delicious.
Put our pizza in your face hole.
We take it out of an oven hole for you to put it in your... Oh, no, that's not going to be good. No.
Shove it in your throat down to the crust.
I was going to say we take it from the pizza hole for you to put in your loving hole.
Any one of them.
Any one of
Goes
them.
in one, comes out
It's
the other.
pizza.
You know.
Paison's Pizzeria. It's pizza.
I'm so glad we think of all these slogans crust in time.
Oh. I'll end it there. Thanks for tuning in to episode 31 of Nosebleed Radio. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at NosebleedSnow. Like us on Facebook, Nosebleed Knowledge. Catch you guys on the flip. Peace.